Hello, everyone, and welcome to our discussion of the three classical appeals. Today's focus will be on pathos, or the appeal to emotion. So today's passage is from I Have a Dream by Martin Luther King Jr. And in King's speech, King uses a lot of appeals to emotion. We always have to be mindful of purpose when we are analyzing the use of classical appeals. In King's case, one of his purposes is to really make people aware of the bad things that are going on to people this time, in addition to trying to convince people to take action, right? He has a dream ultimately that people will live together in harmony and they will get past all the tragedy and the violence. So here in our passage, King uses pathos, or the appeal to emotion. So he is seeking an emotional response from his audience. He is trying to reach his audience and to make his audience feel some type of way in order to accomplish his purpose. So I will read through the passage and then I will highlight some things that King does in order to really create an emotional response in his audience. King says, I am not unmindful that some of you have come here out of great trials and tribulations. Some of you have come fresh from narrow jail cells, and some of you have come from areas where your quest for freedom, left you battered by the storms of persecution and staggered by the winds of police brutality. You have been the veterans of creative suffering. Continue to work with the faith that unearned suffering is redemptive. Go back to Mississippi, go back to Alabama, go back to South Carolina, go back to Georgia, go back to Louisiana, go back to the slums and ghettos of our northern cities, knowing that somehow the situation can and will be changed. So, what is King doing here to elicit an emotional response from his audience? Well, first, we can see that he's really painting a very vivid picture of what people are going through. He mentions that people are experiencing and going through great trials and tribulations, that people are stuck not just in a jail cell, but in a narrow jail cell, something really small, and makes people feel really just trapped in. Then we also can see that he, a line later, alludes to people being battered and staggered, not by just those storms of persecution, but the winds of police brutality. And he's creating these vivid pictures for people to latch onto, because people, when they hear about people who are suffering or hear about individuals experiencing something, we connect with them either through pity or sadness or empathy or some type of emotion. King wants his audience to feel bad for what people are going through because he wants them to take action. So he's making them feel any of those aforementioned emotions, pity, maybe anger, maybe sadness, etc., in order for them to really connect to his speech. He also, if we go to the second part of his this passage, he uses the phrase "go back, go back, go back, go back, go back, go back," and it's this repetitive, rhythmic usage of this phrase, go back, go back, go back, go back, go back, and it has a beat that is quite musical in nature. Go back, go back, go back, go back, go back, go back. And this drum of this phrase reiterates the point to people about what, if you want to make change or enact change or effect change, what you should do. You should go back to Mississippi. You should go back to Alabama. You should go back to South Carolina, to Georgia, to Louisiana, to southern states and places that have a lot of racism and lock people in a lot of trials and tribulations. And so King is really playing on this rhythmic beat to really tap into people and their emotions, just as he is creating vivid language to make them connect to what he's saying. So King, in this little passage, again is using pathos, the appeal to emotion, to get people to see his ultimate purpose, that people are being mistreated, people are being abused, and this is wrong, and we should do something about it. And this is how Martin Luther King Jr. and others can use pathos.